So welcome back. So I promised you guys a many-to-many relationship using the Fluent API. And that's what we're going to try and do. And to be honest, I think many-to-many is a really complex thing to work with. Hopefully you don't use it that much. But if you end up with a many-to-many, we have to figure out how to solve it. So here's the problem actually. I'm just going to show it first here and then I'm going to show it in my own drawing. I found an article and it's called Update Many-to-Many Relations Using DB Context. Now I picked the Update Many-to-Many because that's actually the hardest part when you work with the NT framework, many-to-many relations. That's at least my feeling of it. So what do we have? Well, we actually start out with something looking like this. A student has a lot of courses. A course can have a lot of students, right? That's a many-to-many relations. But so this is kind of like the student is going to have a list of courses and the course is going to have a list of students. That's how our program looks. That's how our code looks, right? But inside the database, it's a relational database. So we'll end up having an extra table. We'll have a course table, a student table, and then in the center we're going to have a student course table. Now the student course table is going to take care of figuring out the IDs between the student and the course, meaning that a course is going to have one ID in here for each student. Or put in the other way, if I am a student, I'm going to have myself as an ID and then I'm going to map to a specific course for each course I'm assigned to. I hope that makes sense. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to start out by making a bit of Fluent API. It's not in here, I'm going to show you that. And then we're going to make something like this. This is actually what you have to do to make an update for a many-to-many relation. Gajumi, that's a lot of code. So we'll run over building something like this. I'm not going to do it exactly this way, but almost the same way, where you kind of start out by removing all the current courses from the student and then adding the new courses that the student got. We have to do this because the NT framework will ignore relations in a many-to-many if you do not actually force it to understand that you have to remove the current courses and you have to add the new courses that were just added in the edit setup. Now I won't show you inside a course student setup, I'll of course show you in your person wish setup. So let's have a look at a paint drawing here, just to give you guys just an overview of what's going to happen. Now the way we set things up right now is, let's have a look in the code first. We have a person, he has a list of wishes, right? And we have wish, he has a list of persons. Gajam, that's easy. So that looks like this in Paint. Yeah, I'm using Paint. Don't judge me. Okay, it's just an easy tool to work with. Yes, it is. Okay, so we're inside Paint here, and a many-to-many relation, that's fine inside the code. I just proved that, right? But inside a relational database, it's different. Inside a relational database, you have to add a new table here. So I'm going to add a new table. Let me just start out by adding the table here. New table, Kajoom, there we go. It's going to be called, as default, they're going to call the table in the NT framework person wish. So it just combines the two guys here into one table name. That's pretty simple. And then it's going to do something else. It's going to build a couple of lines here because it's going to change everything. So it's going to add a line from here to here, and it's going to add a line from here to here. Okay, so we're going to have these two lines are going to be here. Let's remove all the stuff we don't need right now. So look at this, go away. Let's grab the star in here, go away. Let's grab this star, go away. Okay. So we're going to, another thing it's going to do inside the database is actually going to revert this. So before we had many here, but we're actually going to have the many here. So let me just put a star in there. We're going to have a many here, the star. And in the other end, that's where we're going to have the one relation, right? So let's try and read this afterwards and I'll try and explain it to you. So this means that when I add in the database, I add a person. Let's add two persons here. We have a person with ID 2 and a person with ID, that was stupid to start with 2. Let me just undo that. Let's start with 1. It just makes more sense. Yeah, I know. It takes a bit of time. There we go. So we have a student 1 in here with ID 1 and we have another student with ID 2. Now we have a person, and then we have 3 wishes here. Wish 1, wish 2, and wish 3, right? Now, we have to map these together somehow, right? And we have to do that in this table. This table is only there to represent how these guys are mapped together. Meaning that if person 1, he wants to use wish 2, then this is the first mapping. Now these guys are bound together. Wish person 1 with wish 2, right? Okay, then we can do another wish 1 and he's bound to wish 3, right? So we can also say person 2, he's bound to wish 1. And person 2 is also bound to wish 3, right? So that's how we kind of use this table. It's just to bind the information together between these two tables. But when you have a many-to-many relation inside a relational database, this extra table will pop up. Now the NT framework takes care of this for you. In the setup, I'll show you the first time. But in the second setup, we will build this ourselves just to make our code a lot easier to work with. But let's do the hard way in the code first and the easy way in the database. So in the next couple of lessons, we're going to look at how this is done inside our code, inside the person wish application that we're building right now. See you in the next lessons.